This episode of Another Happy Pod is going to contain spoilers. If you've not experienced the content yourself, please go ahead and do so before coming back and listening to the boys ramble on about it. Thank you very much.
Set phases to fun, it's another happy pod. In a world where hatred is monetized and toxicity thrives, we would rather talk about stuff that we like in the realm of pop culture. We don't always succeed with that, but no matter what, we always keep things light-hearted and fun. As I said, this is another happy pod. My name is Nathan, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Lawrence Thomas Heisey.
Hello, it's me.
Set phases to fun.
Okay.
Are they set?
Nathan, yeah. I've just hang on one sec. Beep boop beep. I've just set mine.
All right, cool.
Do they make a beep boop noise, or is it like a
No, they're just set.
like a safety switch on a gun kind of thing?
Yeah, they're just phases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do this entire pod in Klingon?
I'm a little rusty, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, go on. Right, well, go
Okay.
on. Let's hear it. I'll admit. Do you know what? I'll admit it. I threw you into it there. I didn't expect you to run with it. I'm quite happy with that. Maybe what I'll do is, so instead we don't have to learn Klingon and do the whole pod in Klingon. I'll just clip that like 100 times to like the 40-minute mark, and it will just be like some weird Klingon remix.
What a day!
What a big day!
What a day indeed. The world's going to shit, but set phases to fun because we're going to talk about some space trek.
Yay!
Yay.
We're doing the Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond.
The rebooted trilogy, well, kind of reboot from 2009.
Wasn't intended to be a trilogy, but we'll get onto that in a bit because there's some funny recent news.
Was it
to talk
not?
about? No, we'll get there. So I discovered something fun, which I don't think we've ever spoken about, so it should be fun. I mean, I don't think we ever. The news came out like 3 days ago, so I know we haven't spoken.
I know
about
the news came out about the potential of a Star Trek 4.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Developments of fun.
Okay.
We're not. Well, I don't know about you actually, but are we? We're not Treksters. What's the term?
Trekkies is the term. Trekkies.
We're not.
Is the
We're
term.
more
Star Wars cunts.
Yeah, just them, the other ones.
Yeah, toxic.
Are you a big Trek fan?
Not really. I never really had any kind of affection for the franchise before I watched these movies. I think I watched the first one like just a year or so after it came out. Another time I was like, Star Trek's different to Star Wars because it's like they're both very big sci-fi franchises, probably two of the biggest. But for some reason, Star Trek just has a bit of a reputation for just being a little bit more geeky somehow, like a little bit more on the nerdy side, whereas Star Wars is a little bit more mainstream, I guess. So like Star Trek, I was always like, yeah, not sure about that. A little bit too nerdy for my liking. But then I watched the movie and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty fucking dope. I like this shit. But like my affection and knowledge of Star Trek pretty much begins and ends with these movies. Like I've seen 1 or 2 episodes of the original series. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
So I was always put off Star Trek mainly because there's a series with Patrick Stewart, which I believe is the Next Generation.
The Next Generation, yes.
Yeah, it's Picard. It's not Kirk.
That's right.
And it's basically my dad when I was growing up. You know, like how most dads would either watch like just exclusively World War II documentaries or some stupid show.
I was going to say, literally, the only thing my dad ever watched on TV was the History Channel on repeat. And
literally,
just
and it's the same documentaries you've seen.
I've seen every single document. There's only one, and it's on there just on loop all fucking day long. The Allied forces are marched across the fields in 1940. Okay,
yeah, and look, I know it's. I know it's World War One and it's literally 1914, but it's always like 140p quality, and I'm like, how are you gaining any insight or Like, how is this fun?
Yeah.
How? But anyway, so my dad watched this. So my dad watched those documentaries and exclusively the Next Generation Star Trek.
Keith a Trekkie.
No, and that's the thing. I don't think he knows or gives a fuck about any of it.
Oh, okay.
But he was whatever it was about that show. It clearly spoke to him. Because he's not like a nerd. If I was to say like Klingon, even I don't know. I've never seen Star Trek at all before the other day, and I'd know what that is. He wouldn't have a fucking clue. But it was just something that he did, and it always and I don't look. I've never watched the show in full. I could be completely wrong, but it looked fucking terrible
by today's standards. Yeah, probably, but I think that it's quite highly regarded.
Oh well, great, but it looked like shit.
But like, so does classic Doctor Who. So
that very true, and I'd argue that some of it is.
Well, yeah, I would also argue that, but
no, we can't joke about Doctor Who, Nathan. He's ending wars.
Stop! No, not having that. No.
But anyway, so you sprung it on me that we were going to watch these 3 movies. I did watch these 3 movies.
I'm interested to know your thoughts on these 3 movies. Talk me through Star Trek. First of all, did you see anything going in? Did you know anything going in, or was it all a fresh experience?
I knew that Zachary Quinto played Spock.
Live long and prosper.
Indeed, and I knew that Chris Pine was in it.
Okay.
And that's the extent of the knowledge that I had on it. To the point where I saw a Star Trek Beyond trailer maybe a few months ago, and I went, that looks cool. I wonder when that's coming out.
4 years ago.
And the rest. I think it's 6 now, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is actually 2016. Fuck, it is as well.
Yeah, time's moving too quickly. Yeah. But yeah, so that's the extent of where I'm at with it. So I switched on Star Trek, and I was like, do you know what? It's going to be a fun time to kind of... when you like films and you like pop culture and you have a blank space in a certain area that people tend to talk about, and I was like, I've never filled this gap, and I'm actually quite excited. And then I was like, then Chris Hemsworth was suddenly Captain Kirk, and I was like, what?
I guess that is true. I guess he was Captain Kirk for that moment. Yeah,
he was Captain Kirk, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Am I watching the right movie? So yeah, for a brief second there, I was like, did they recast him because he got like big in Marvel, or like did they? Because it's Chris Pine. Chris Pine is Captain Kirk, and I know that. But then in 5 minutes, it very clearly became, no, it makes sense. I got it.
Yes.
It turns out that I have an appreciation for these. So I like them. I like this franchise overall. I think it's cool. It satisfies a different type of enjoyment in sci-fi and space travel stuff than Star Wars does, for sure.
Yes.
Which I was kind of, for the longest time, obviously, because there's a joke about there being a war between the fandoms. I was like, right, well, it's one or the other. And so I watched this, and I really liked it. It was cool. It reminded me of, like, the old Buzz Lightyear of Star Command kind of TV show.
Yeah, I guess.
I have a nostalgia for that type of shit. So I was like, this is just kind of the modern film version of that, basically.
I mean, it kind of is, yeah.
Up until there was a hilarious, oops, I touched your boobs joke.
Yes. Yes. There's some egregious moments, particularly in the first 2 movies. They're
there is not a single woman that isn't seen in her full underwear
in the first 2 movies. Yes.
Yeah, like head to toe,
for no reason whatsoever as well.
And Kirk will be walking down the road, and he'll be like, "Spock, this is a really big deal. The fate of the galaxy, as we know." Oh, hey, ladies. And it's like, have you not got more pressing matters?
I'm all right with that. That's Kirk's always been a little bit of a ladies' man, a little bit of a player. William Shatner was played up in the 60s. He'll have fun. I'm all right for Chris Pine to have a little bit of fun. But yes, there are some moments where it's just, hey, Zoe Saldana, why don't you get naked right now? Does that have anything to do with the scene? Nah, just do it though. Okay.
Yeah. I am looking at you from under the bed. This is not creepy.
Yeah.
So anyway, it opens, and within I wasn't expecting it, right? So firstly, J.J. Abrams, in the first one specifically...
Yes. I think I know where this is going.
Has an extremely fucking irritating directing style and trope.
Is it lens flares?
No, Nathan, it's endless lens flare.
Yeah.
Two people will just be talking, and the fucking sun will be exploding into their retinas. Like it's ridiculous how many lens flares.
It is insane in those movies just how just you're right, and it doesn't help that the fact that the Enterprise, the bridge of the Enterprise, is just a pristine white ship as well. But
Yeah.
but like any time just two people are talking, it's just a relentless, just fucking flares all over the screen that just don't even make sense. But
No.
like, I guess that was JJ's style.
I'm really, really glad he grew out of it by the time that The Force Awakens came out. 'Cause can you imagine that? Like the a lightsaber ignites and the entire screen just goes white, and JJ Abrams is like, this is just a continuous lens flare now.
I do remember there was because there is one, and it was in the shot of a trailer as well. You know when the First Order stuck in the base. The laser
Kylo's
shoots off.
watching it at the window.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Kylo's watching the window, and there's like a red flare off it. I remember specifically when the trailer came out, everyone just that fucking was going around like fucking hotcakes, and everyone was like, "Oh, JJ lens flares are back! Here we go! Get ready, everyone!
Let's go!"
Yeah, but that was the only one in the movie, thankfully.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that bad.
No, but anyway, like it was some parts of it was distracting. It was a bit egregious, but then the movie really hooked me within like the first 10 minutes because they're like, here's Captain Kirk, nice charisma man, you've got a pregnant wife. This guy's gonna have a great family. They're all dead.
Yeah. It's an interesting opening, isn't it? Just to straight off the bat be like, here's Chris Hemsworth. You look well, I guess in 2009 the one like you like him, they're like you don't know him, but he'll be big in 10 years. But yeah, here's Chris Hemsworth. Look how fun and charismatic he is. Oh, dead. Okay.
And it's sad as well because they're like,
it's very emotional.
He sends his pregnant wife off, who was giving. By the way, the worst time to give birth.
Why was she on the ship?
Yeah. What's she doing on a mission? Like,
yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, she's giving birth. He puts her in an escape pod, and he gets told, or like the ship's like, oh, you got to do it manually, man. It's one of them ones. So he does it. He does whatever he does manually. He actually pulls a holdo maneuver.
Well, kind of.
I mean, yeah, but I wonder where that idea came from. And it just like they're talking about like he's about to die, and he's like, "What are we going to name our son?" And they're having this heartbreaking conversation. And I was like within 10 minutes, I went from 10 minutes before watching the movie or about to start the movie going, okay, yeah, well, this is going to be all right, I guess. And then I was like, oh my God, I want Kirk to be safe. He's just a little baby. So I was like on board from the get-go.
Smash cut to 10-year-old Kirk blasting the Beastie Boys as he races down fucking, I don't know, some random road in Iowa and drives his stepdad's car off a cliff.
Yeah, I liked that. It's very quaint that they think Nokia was the phone of the future.
No, I saw that and I was like, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was like, maybe they're making a joke that Nokia will make a comeback, and then I saw it came out in 2009. I was like, oh, this is cute.
That was very fun. I did quite enjoy that. But yeah, straight off the bat, you see that Kirk's a little rebel. He's blasting the Beastie Boys. He's driving cars and everything like that. And then he's getting into. I don't know if you've noticed this. I don't know if this is Chris Pine or just Kirk specific. But every time Kirk gets punched, he looks like he is about to come. He has the biggest orgasm face. His eyes roll back. His jaw is hung open. It's very erotic.
I'll have to give it another watch.
Jim Kirk orgasm face. It's a real thing, and it's quite bad.
When you said that you were wondering if I noticed it, I thought you were going to say how literally this characters in this movie cannot stop getting promotions. That it's you so much as walk onto the Enterprise and it's like, you have the Khan. You have the Khan. All right, I'll take the Khan.
That's all right. I see what you're saying. That's kind of true, but that's not technically a promotion. That's just filling in.
Chris Hemsworth gets promoted from the other captain who leaves the ship. Then he dies. So the guy who becomes the admiral takes control, and he's the captain. But then then he goes off the ship. So he's like, "Hey Spock, you can have the ship now." And then Chris Pine comes back from seeing other Spock or whatever, and is like, and and it's like, you're not fit to have the gun. I want the gun. And he takes the gun, and then he has to leave. So he's like, "Hey, Sulu, you have the gun."
And then the second movie starts, and then Chris Pine isn't the captain, but then he is again, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's endless. People were walking around saying captain. It could apply to anyone in this.
It's very true.
But that just, I don't know. It made me this. It sounds like I'm nitpicking. This is all very fun. Like
It is very fun. I like the first one in particular is quite a lot of fun. There's like a lot of just it did something really interesting, especially when you're dealing with what at the time was almost a 50-year-old franchise, and you're like rebooting it essentially. They took like quite a big swing in starting over from scratch, but then not really. Then writing in this kind of like backdoor pilot kind of wormhole workaround sort of thing. Did you understand that, and what did you think of all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so just from like having seen clips and just knowing who Leonard Nimoy was,
Yes.
I as soon as he came on, I was like, that's interesting. Oh fuck yeah, he would be about that age. That's the original Spock. Like that's the guy.
Yes.
So I was very much like, I knew what was going on, and then it was it is a bit of an exposition dump, but he's basically like, for anyone that hasn't seen it, he basically went back in time once upon a time and fucked it. And created this alternate timeline, which is not the Star Trek that we've seen, which is now almost springboarding off this new franchise. So it's a reboot, but it's like it's what Days of Future Past should have done.
It's actually really clever because it's a way for them to like do stuff different without being so strictly beholden to like the timeline of the original series. It's like they can do stuff that they want, which is I think why they did it. It's actually quite good. But
it can't have hurt to like bring in Leonard Nimoy and him being like, these movies are cool when I'm in them. That can't have hurt the box office or anything. Yeah,
absolutely not. And also the fact that Leonard Nimoy isn't just having like, he could have very easily just had like a fun little cameo as like Spock's dad or whatever. But the fact that he's there as Spock, not just Spock, but the fucking OG original Spock, the very same Spock from the original series, that's also pretty cool.
And he serves a function in Into Darkness, the second film, which was very new and kind of like we'll get to it, but yes. I really like how they use his character, and how he kind of goes on, and the conflict. His very existence is the cause of conflict for Spock's entire arc in the second film, and I was like, that's clever. It's really fucking cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's really not just like, haha, you remember this dude anyway.
I like what they do with all that. Another thing I like is the cast. There's some fucking names in this cast, man.
There's some massive names in this.
Yeah. Was it surprising to you when fucking Carl Urban just showed up?
So I knew he was in it, and I'm actually really
that's a shame.
The only thing that I knew about this, and I didn't know the context, and I didn't know who, but I knew just from editing, and it was like an offhanded reference that someone made in a video, about how the use of magic blood is a big thing.
Yes.
So I knew that there was a doctor character who was played by Carl Urban who had magic blood at some point. Now, obviously, how that plays into it, I'm really glad I didn't know who it was, because it would have significantly undercut that. But he's in it. There's accents. He's doing an accent. Simon Pegg's doing an accent.
Simon Pegg is doing an accent. One is better than the other. Simon Pegg's is better than Carl Urban's. Carl Urban loves an accent, doesn't he?
I just don't know if they trust him to be Carl Urban.
Has he ever used his actual Aussie accent in anything?
I don't think so.
Nothing that I know. Probably like some shit, I don't know, but
yeah, and which is weird because a lot of the times they like to keep an Australian accent in films.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, because he's been Southeast London to varying degrees of success. He's been whatever the fuck he was in Lord of the Rings, and he's been this kind of. generic American, but sometimes from the deep south.
Yeah. I do like that character. I love how angry he is. That's great. It's always
Yeah,
fun.
he's a doctor, and the entire time, like someone comes in and he's like, "Hey, this guy was, it's not surprising that this ship almost blew up, and this guy's got a cut on his face, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna be glad when everyone's fucking dead. I hate this fucking ship."
It's great. I love that he always seems to be following Kirk around with little devices and just waving them in his face all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very fun. And then I also like his weird little southern sayings that he always has. Like, you don't rob a bank and leave the getaway driver in the parking lot or something like that. He has a saying like that for pretty much every occasion that happens. And watching these movies back to back, it's really evident how many of those sayings he has.
He gets called up on it by Kirk as well. Doesn't he say like no more analogies or some
He
shit?
does, yeah, no more metaphors, he's saying.
Yeah, it's hard to track. Like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
He really is. What did you think of Simon Pegg as Scotty, the most
He's
aptly
great.
named character in all of cinema?
That's very true. No, he was really good. I really liked him. When he came in, and at first it was some people like, "Oh, hello, laddie." Oh, I was a bit like, I don't know where I'm going to sit with this. And then he very quickly warmed, and that's one of the main things that I love about all three of these movies is that
Yes.
way more than other franchises, you get a sense of these guys are all genuinely great mates.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a real sense of kind of family about them, which I really like. Especially, I really like the relationship between Kirk and Spock as well, and I think you're supposed to, because it's not great to start with. Like, they're always, they don't get off to the best. What am I trying to say? They don't get off on the best start. Is that the saying?
I think what you're trying to say is that Spock absolutely loves strangling Kirk and almost murders him.
Yeah.
And interestingly proves that he is extremely capable of just murder in a second.
Vulcans, well, that Vulcan in particular is fucking brutal, mate. He'll fuck anyone
Yeah.
up. When he's fighting fucking Sherlock in the second one, he's holding nothing back.
Dr. Not Strange.
Yeah.
There's a moment in this that I found really, really funny. And it's not a moment I don't think you're meant to find funny. And when they decide, so it kind of goes on from this point. So there's a lot of fun, like, action set pieces in this.
Yes.
Like, a lot more. And it's kind of, this is where it differed from my enjoyment of Star Wars. Star Wars is not about sometimes it's about epic lightsaber duels and all of this.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it doesn't, unless it's a big, like, Falcon against a TIE fighter scene or whatever, they're often either on a space station or in a ship.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, they're jumping out of that ship relentlessly. It's almost like there's a bad smell in the Enterprise because they cannot wait to jump out of it at any opportunity. And I really enjoy that. And there's one sequence where they jump out and they have a parachute. There's three of them and they have a parachute and they all have to land. Like, they have to pull their cord at a certain point because the shield will otherwise stop them getting in or some shit.
Well, they just need a safe landing distance, really.
Yeah. And so two of them, being Sulu and Kirk, go down following the orders, and the other guy just intentionally kamikazes himself.
Yeah, seemingly.
Like, he jumps down and they're like, "Hey, pull your chute," and he's like, "Woo!" and just for some reason just eviscerates himself.
He might as well have screamed, "I'm never gonna die," as he plummeted towards his death.
but what made it funnier? It wasn't like a cutaway in an action sequence. It was the sole focus of the movie.
Yeah.
People were like, "Hey, pull your cord or you're gonna die." And he was like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna live forever," and just went straight off the ship. And I was like, "What the fuck were you expecting?"
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That was very funny. I did enjoy that. John Cho, very good as Sulu as well. I like John Cho quite a lot, and he's really good in that role.
He's got a very distinct way, and he said, maybe it's because he says it so many times, but I'm sure that 50% of his dialogue is him going, "Aye, aye, Captain." Because like the amount of times that Kirk is like, "All right, fucking take off," and he's like, "All right."
They're sailors technically, so that's ship talk, isn't it? Aye, aye,
Yeah.
Captain, I guess.
Yeah, they're explorers. I like that.
Yeah, then they all sing a sea shanty as they explore space. Anton Yelchin is absolutely great as Chekhov. It's fucking heartbreaking that that poor kid, he died just a few weeks before Beyond came out. Bless him.
No way, did he?
Yeah, he did. In the credits of the credits of the end one, like just like as it goes from like mid credits to full credits, the movie is in love and memory of Leonard Nimoy, and then for Anton at the end of it because he died like about, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks before it came out or something, which
Oh
is
fuck, that
yeah,
sucks.
that's tragic. And he's really good as well. Bless him. He's a fun little character. I do really like Chekhov.
He was a massive standout. Like I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, absolutely. He was really good.
Oh.
I love his little accent. He can't say W's. Victor,
Yeah.
Victor is
Yeah.
is a lot. I can do that. I can do that. Is
Yeah.
a lot of fun. He's great. He is really good in that role. So it is like
Yeah.
a shame that he fucking passed away. Bless him.
Yeah, man. That's I didn't know that. That sucks. That's really sad.
Yeah.
One thing I'll ask you, and I had this thought, and I'm not sure if it's actually anything, but it seems like it. You know, when you have a thought and you go, I understand something, and I don't know if I do. Do you think so? This is 2009, right?
Yes.
Do you think that reasoning, and maybe I don't know what the Enterprise looked like before this. Do you think there's a reason that the Phantom Menace was, you know, I don't want to say underappreciated because I like Star Wars, but that's the bottom of the barrel for me, in terms of Star Wars.
Okay.
But do you think there was a reason when it came out that people weren't a fan of it? Because the ships and the kind of the more shiny, sleek aesthetic that the prequel era had seemed very similar to like the slick and like curved edges of the Enterprise. It looked very similar to like a Naboo ship.
I've kind of. I think there is something to that. I know the kind of shininess of the prequels is something that people have a problem with, just because the original trilogy for a lot of it is quite grimy and dirty and stuff. And well, not all of it, but
Not even intentionally. It's just because George Lucas did not have 2 pennies to rub together when he was shooting it.
yeah, it's true. But not even, to be fair, not even all of it is. I feel like the stuff on Cloud City and Bespin is actually quite like sleek and shiny and stuff. It's just like what was possible for the time. But yeah, so it is kind of the original Enterprise. I don't think it was ever that kind of. It's difficult to say. It's definitely not as sleek and shiny. It has been like given like a kind of a facelift. But Star Trek 2009, so good.
Yeah, overall really liked it.
Overall good.
Loved one of the biggest highlights, and we'll move on to Into Darkness in a sec, was the how this version of Spock I'd assume is more emotional than previous iterations of Spock. But it was a case of like, even so, he was so emotionally stripped back, but he was like he became my favorite character of the entire thing.
Zachary Quinto Spock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of like and how much he can do, where the sole purpose of his character is that he suppressed emotion.
Zachary Quinto is really good at that. He's really good at playing a fucking robot. There's something about him which he can just nail that like fucking instantly, and particularly the scene where like Kirk is purposely goading him and trying to get that fucking reaction out of him, and then he does, and then the moment like he realizes he's fucked up and gone too far, that's just some great stuff from him, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's all good shit. Yeah, for sure. Nice exploding bridge action as well. One thing I miss in Star Wars, and The Last Jedi did a little bit of it. When the ship gets shot, they are all over the shop. They are like random computers are exploding. They're like sliding all over the pristine, newly buffed floors of the Enterprise.
The Enterprise has lost so many crew members. Just some poor souls just walking the halls. And
there's a funny line about that as well, because Kirk is like, "How many crew members have I lost? Not one." And the guy's like, "Yeah, I know, not one. You're a very good captain." I'm like, "I saw the last movie, man. That's a lie. That's a flat out lie. You may as well have had like 30 new crew members at least, at minimum."
That is a lie. Yeah. Also, Eric Bana was the villain. Good for you. You have a nice tattooed face.
One thing I liked about him, because we didn't talk about him. One thing I really liked about him, how was it's revealed that he was like just a miner, like he's just a regular working class dude.
Yeah.
that had his life turned upside down. So when the Starship Enterprise is like, let's discuss this like gentlemen, we're going to invite you in for some diplomacy talks. He's like, nah, get fucked.
Yeah.
He just hasn't got any time for it, which is really funny.
That's a very fair reaction as well.
Yeah, it's like, no, you ended my race. I'm gonna blow you all up.
Into Darkness opens with Mickey Smith.
Yeah, right.
Well, actually, it doesn't. It opens with a fun romp, a fun little. I see. I had this all when I was watching it yesterday. I like sequels, and the reason I like sequels is because all the hard work is done already in the first movie. You don't need to fuck about. You don't need to waste time introducing the characters and build into the relationships. You can just start off right out of the bat with a fun little romp with these characters that we already know and love. And what a fun little romp they're on, breaking the prime directive and ice in a volcano. What a lot of fun.
Very weird. One of them, it does start like it is a fun little romp. You're right, and then it you don't realize it's gonna springboard the entire emotional conflict of the film from that one little dumb thing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really like in these. I think the scripts, and this one, I think there's a consensus online that this is the weaker one.
Yes, that's right. Yes, this is what people say is the worst of the trilogy.
See, I thoroughly disagree.
Okay,
This was my favorite one of the three.
interesting.
I enjoy it in a different way to I enjoy.
Or
the
as Spock would say, fascinating.
first. Good. Glad you got that one out.
Thank you.
No, like I enjoy it in a different way to I enjoy the first one. I think the first one is technically a better movie. I think this one is more blockbuster fun, and like you say, the hard work is done. I know the characters. Let me see the emotional turmoil that they go through, whilst also giving me just some really fun and stupid performances. Benedict Cumberbatch is endlessly dumb.
He's chewing some scenery. My
Yeah.
God, is he having the time of his life, and he is fucking going for it. Bless him. But he is very good. He's very good in the role. I think the problem that a lot of people have with it, I'd say it's not my favorite of the three. I don't necessarily dislike it. Or I don't have anything that I necessarily hate about the movie at all. I think it's actually quite good. I do quite enjoy it. It's just a little bit dumb. But not dumb in the same way that like Star Trek is. It's more so that like a lot of the script is, for example, spoiler alert, they fucking cure death.
Yeah.
Like they straight up cure death. Will it have an impact on the franchise going forward? Nah, do not even fucking worry about it. But yeah, death has been cured in this universe. So there's that. It's again 2012 was the fucking year of movies where the villain got caught intentionally. Hooray, it's Loki, it's James Bond, it's this. We love it, we stan. It's people in torpedoes, very weird. There's just a lot of very dumb stuff about this movie. And then there's also that shot where Dr. Marcus, I think her name is, I can't remember. She's just there in her underwear for no reason once again.
Oh yeah, she's like, hey, they're in the middle of discussing like some space diplomacy, and she's like, hey, turn around, please. And he's like, okay, I will, and then basically just does a 360 spin, and then she's like, hey, turn around, and he's like, no, I'm looking at your boobs now. For no reason.
It's so pointless. Great.
I think it's good, yeah, because she needs to change into something, but like we don't see him change into. He's already in it.
Yeah.
Like he's already put his super suit on or whatever the fuck. No, look, the reason I like this is because this to me, yeah, it is contrived and there is some dumb fucking shit and they do cure death but I also think the script may be dumb, but it also does put in the work in certain moments. Like it's not a sudden realization that death has been cured. Like his cells. Like very early on in the movie, they're like, "Whoa, what's going on with these cells? I wonder if that's going to be a thing."
Yes.
And they can like the movie. I'm all about excusing dumb things in a movie if they work towards it and they foreshadow it and it's done right. It's not just suddenly, hang on a minute, the equation I just remembered can solve this. Like out of nowhere kind of shit. But yeah, no, this is dumb. And the thing that I really like is, like you say, the hard work has been done. And this movie, the centerpiece of the focus on this movie, is what I came to these movies for, which was Kirk and Spock basically learning to be mates. And that it already starts, and they are close mates.
Yeah.
And you can tell that there's been like I don't fucking know how many years or whatever, but they have a history. They've clearly gone on some adventures, and they have a bond. But by the end of this movie, they're like brothers.
Yeah.
They're real forged in war besties kind of things. And I love that. And I think that from the get go, it like starts a rift, and then how it ends with them kind of basically Kirk learns to use logic in a scenario that only, even if it means death, even if it means like great loss, he does the Spock thing where he sacrifices himself for the, was it one, the good of one.
The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah, and the reason Spock doesn't accept that is because he chooses to act more in vain with Kirk, and he chooses to act on emotion.
Well, it's brilliantly set up right from the beginning, because straight away, Kirk is pissed at Spock that he basically ratted him out for saving his life, but Spock just can't understand like why he wouldn't let him die. That's the logical thing to do. That's what should have happened. So like, why is he being upset about this? It doesn't necessarily compute to him that people will be upset that if he isn't around anymore. And that's a lesson that he has to learn throughout the movie. And then when Kirk does die, he does die, I guess. Then like Spock, he gets to feel that firsthand. He's like, oh, this is what everyone was like talking about. This is some shit, man. I don't like this. I got to deal with it. I got to go punch fucking Sherlock.
And exactly. and one thing that I think was really good is that they like it kind of showed the emotional weight. Like, yeah, Spock's entire planet gets fucked.
Yes.
And he holds it together, barely, but he does hold it together. And then just the concept of losing Kirk, a captain that he respects, like, and actually has things to teach him, and isn't just a rule follower. And that's probably very new for him, especially in his culture and where he was raised. Like, the mere concept of him not having him anymore is enough to like, that's the most emotion we've ever seen out of him, and that's crazy considering in the last film genocide happened on his race.
His own planet was destroyed,
and his mum died in front of him, and he couldn't move to save her. Like, it's fucked, man. It's really fucked.
It is, yeah. It's really good though. They do it really well. Did Benedict Cumberbatch showing up surprise you?
No, I knew he was in this.
Okay, you knew he was the villain.
I didn't know he was necessarily the villain. And I kind of was taken on a bit of a journey, because at one point you maybe believe that he's a bit of an anti-hero kind of thing in the movie. The movie paints him as like this kind of tragic. There's a secret antagonist in the film.
Yes. It's not that simple,
and then
but yeah.
No, and then the movie shifts focus to him, and you're like, oh, it's an ally. We don't like each other, but we got to work together. And I was like, by the end of it, it will be like I don't agree with you, Khan, but you got a good bloody aim, mate, and glad to have you aboard the ship. Kind of, and then no, it doesn't go that way. But I knew he was in this because I believe it or not, watched an interview of him on the Graham Norton show from like however many years ago, where he was just like, yeah, I got really buff for a shower scene, and then they cut it.
Oh no.
Yeah, so he was apparently got a personal trainer. In like 6 months, he was just like eating nothing but raw chicken and fucking greens and stuff. And then they were yeah,
he does seem very fit though. I'll give him that. He's doing some stunts. Well, I don't know if he's doing stunts, but he's doing some work in this anyway.
Yeah, he is.
I'll tell you, he can kill a room full of Klingons with no issue.
He loves it. He just can't stop massacring. It did feel a little bit, and I know, I guess maybe the other way around, but it felt a bit Winter Soldier-esque in the cryo-frozen muscle men with heightened abilities.
Okay.
Which
Civil War? Do you mean Civil War?
Sorry, yeah, Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was 4 years later, but okay.
Yeah, I know, but that's maybe it definitely is the opposite of that, which is quite funny. But yeah, no, and this one, like, it's colourful, it's vibrant. There's less lens flares.
It's very colourful, this movie,
Yeah,
especially that like opening romp scene as well on that planet. I was
yeah.
like immediately hit with some colour. Sorry, side note. Did you like the way in that opening scene where Spock is ready to die in the volcano? He just like puts his arms out and like
Yeah.
he's just ready for some big ceremonial death. I
I
really enjoyed that.
I did find that funny, and then he's just whisked away. Yeah, yeah.
It is very fun. Yeah, it is fun.
I
Zachary
like.
Quinto again is great.
Yeah, he's very, like you say, great robot, no emotions, man. And
Yes.
then when he needs to pull the emotions out, he does it. And
Yeah.
it's that less is more, like it's a single tear going down Spock's face, and I was just like, I want to cry
I
so
fu-
bad.
I think it's amazing that fucking neither of the two leads, fucking Chris Pine and Quinto, I think it's amazing neither of them are in a Marvel movie yet. Pine especially. I think
Yeah,
you'd think Pine would be ripe fucking material for a Marvel movie. He's the missing Chris from the Marvel universe.
yeah, he is actually. Yeah, he's the
He's
only one.
yeah, he's the only one they haven't got yet. Um, it's baffling. I mean, he's in Into the Spider Verse. He's Peter B. Park, no, just Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He's obviously in DC's Steve Trevor, which he's great in. But yeah, I'd have thought they'd have snapped him up years ago.
They probably will in time.
Oh, I
Like
think
it's
they definitely will. Yeah, I mean, give it fucking 15 minutes, everyone's going to be in a Marvel movie. But
Yeah, exactly. But this thing, because it really reacquainted me with Chris Pine, because when I don't know have we ever spoken about Wonder Woman on here? I don't think we have.
we have, yeah, we did a Wonder Woman episode, yeah.
Oh yeah, we did the second one. But so
Yeah.
I was late to the game watching the first one. Like just for years, I didn't watch it. I think I was just really tired of what DC were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And people were like, no, this one's really good, and I was like, I don't believe it. Like, and when I did watch it, I became reacquainted with how much Chris Pine, like the amount of he's just a charisma machine, like he's so good.
He's very
And
good, yeah.
and then this again just reacquainted me with that, and I was like, why isn't this guy more leading men? Like, not to sound mean, but time will get on, and he will lose the ability to be in these massive action films and stuff. And he's great. He deserves more than he gets.
Yeah. Do you buy that he's 25 in the first one?
No, of course I fucking don't.
Yeah, me. When they said that, I was like, okay.
Yeah. It's a
That's
weird, pointless
generous.
thing to like. It's a pointless thing to even say. I didn't need to know how old he was,
Yeah.
and like,
That was very
and by
generous.
that stretch, how old is Carl Urban in that film?
Exactly, yeah. Who knows?
Because he looks at minimum at least 10 years older.
Yeah. But he's just joining the academy? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. And then and you're introduced to him, and he's like, my wife left me and took the planet. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Is she the president? What's going on there?
Yeah, exactly. How she got that much sway? Your lawyers are shit, man.
No, but yeah, he is really good, and I do think it is only a matter of time before he's snapped up for something. Maybe
Yeah,
he'll be, I don't know, John Bon Jovi.
Yeah, in Marvel's John Bon Jovi,
Yeah,
epic.
maybe he'll be the next Black Panther.
Oh God, one can dream, right?
Yeah.
Let's clarify that was a joke.
Yeah, best to do that. So yeah, Into Darkness overall.
Yeah, well, like I say, my favorite one.
Interesting.
Significantly dumber.
Yes, significantly.
But because I can appreciate Into Darkness because of how much work the first one did.
Okay.
And it would be very weird to watch Into Darkness on its own without having not having the context, but like
Yeah.
you need to see a lot of Star Trek, not just to understand it from like it's the first one, you should watch it, but you won't get a lot of the emotional payoff from Into Darkness if you haven't seen the first one.
That's very true. That is very true. I did like the Spock Prime popped in for a little bit of a FaceTime. That was very fun. It was very good.
That was what I was going to say. That's one of the reasons it got me, because he was like, it's the main thing that I like about how they use the character of like, I don't know, what do they call him? They call him like Admiral Spock or something.
Ambassador Spock.
Ambassador Spock. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to differentiate. They can't call him Leonard Nimoy Spock. So he comes along, and they have a FaceTime, and he's like, hey, I don't like regular Spock. Zachary Quinto Spock is like, hey, this guy Khan, is he any trouble? And Leonard Nimoy Spock goes like, I swore a sacred vow to never tell you anything, and he's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, well, here's everything about Khan, and he does it. But no, but just that, like, I'm saying it as a joke, but
Yes.
that scene was played so heavy and so serious that even if Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't giving it everything, but he was,
Yes.
it sold it to me, and I was like, "Fuck, this guy's scary." Then
He is pretty scary, yeah.
that's a big bad.
In Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, which is like what this is kind of based on, it is originally it's actually Spock who dies and not Kirk in like a similar sort of fashion. So they flipped.
Okay.
So they flipped it for this, and then they have Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock. But I haven't seen that, so I don't know what happens.
I wonder if they find Spock.
I imagine they do because he's here. So
Oh yeah, we know. I guess in a way you have seen it.
it's true. I don't need to watch it now.
I know they find Spock. Why go through the emotional turmoil of losing him?
So now it's time. We just talked about your favorite. Now it's time to talk about my favorite.
Oh, okay.
Yes, beyond my personal favorite of the three, I have one burning question that I've been dying to ask you ever since I watched this last night.
Okay, go on.
How long into the movie did it take you to realize Idris Elba was in it?
Quite some time.
I thought it would. Yes.
So I recognized the voice.
Yeah.
But I was like, because obviously he's in such heavy prosthetics, and I was like, where the fuck is that? I don't know. That could be a number of people. Like I don't know. It sounds really familiar. And then obviously his like, I don't know, his skin comes off or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was clearly him. And when it showed him as like the they did like a flashback, and it was like computer enhance, and it zoomed in, and I was like, motherfucker, it's Idris Elba.
Oh, it was there. That was like right towards the end. Wow.
Yeah, man. I was not. I knew something was up. I couldn't put my finger on who it was.
Oh, wow, yeah. I knew going in because like I watched this when it came out, and I knew that Idris Elba was in it, so it wasn't a surprise to me at all. But I was watching this last night, and I was thinking, if you go into this blind, that must be quite a big shock. So yeah. That's quite interesting. But yeah, this is my favorite of the three. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on it. Oh no!
No. Right.
Set
Bunch of fun.
phasers to stun.
No, please. No, look, it's really fun. It's a good time. I'm gonna say some things I wasn't a fan of, but that's not an indication of I didn't like it. It was just not my personal favorite.
Okay.
It still did some fucking really cool shit, and I think it had some of the best emotional beats in the whole thing.
Yes.
But I don't know. There were certain points of it where I was like, right. Well, hang on. Let me go through it. Well, firstly, why is it your favorite?
I just like a lot of what's done. I think this is the one. This one isn't directed by JJ, and this what I'm saying is by no means a fucking any indication of JJ as a director. I just think this is the best of the three. It's actually directed by Justin Lin, who directs quite a lot of the Fast and the Furious movies.
Yeah, he's done so many of them,
and that is quite evident in some scenes in this movie. But I think it's done really well. I think it's a good, like a little bit of fresh air for the franchise. I like that it starts off, and the end of the last movie, everyone was like really excited and pumped to go on the 5-year mission. Like, yeah, 5-year mission. Let's go explore deep space. Let's fucking find new worlds and all this sort of shit. We'll do the 5-year mission. It'll be the time of our lives. This opens up 3 years into that mission, and Kirk is just fucking done. He's so tired of it all. And I like that. I like that he's grown weary and is kind of not what he thought it would be, and just like the weight of the chair and the weight of being captain and having to do the monotony of it all that is catching up to him. I like all of that stuff. I like that growth for Kirk, especially since he started out as such like a cocky young little shit, he's grown into just a tired old man. I really like that stuff.
Kirk in this movie was the main thing I was invested in.
Yeah.
Which sounds silly because obviously he's the protagonist, but it's a case of like what they did with him, like how it opened, and he's he's struggling with, like you say, the monotony of it all. The fact that his entire job is, hello, alien race, we're this people, and they're like, we don't understand you, and we're going to kill you. And he's like, yep, that's every day for me.
That was very fun. I did like that scene with those little aliens.
Yeah, and they look massive, and then they jumps down, and it's like the size of a football.
Also, like when he was just trying to explain the thing, no matter what, he's like, "No, it's gonna kill us. We don't like that."
Yes, it reminded me of Twitter in real life.
Yeah, that's very good.
So that was funny. But that is every day, and he's tired down from it. I really love the kind of emotional conflict of the fact that in the last movie he's always struggled with the fact that his dad died sacrificing his life for the safety of his crew.
Yes.
Because someone had to be there to hold off the guys so that the escape pods could escape. He did the same thing. He followed in his father's footsteps. He laid down his life, but he survived.
Yeah.
And now it's his birthday, and he's 1 year older than his dad ever got to be. And the guilt of that is like really unspoken, but it's weighing on him, and you can tell.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's some really cool stuff. And I love that he's beginning to lose his way as a captain, and you can tell he's losing his touch. Like, he allows the ship to get into positions it never should be. Like, he puts faith in people that he shouldn't. And what the Enterprise always has been like a thing for is like second chances and providing people with opportunity to grow and be better than what they're put in the box as. Like, that's Spock's whole thing. And in this, there's like someone that's so clearly an enemy, and he's like, I'm going to give you a chance. And I'm like, you shouldn't. Like, you shouldn't do it. I don't know. It's nice because they got off the ship and they did some ground stuff, which was cool.
It is, yeah. And the destruction of the Enterprise itself, it's beautiful, but it's also really fucking heartbreaking to watch. It's devastating to watch that ship get torn apart, especially like knowing how the crew feel about it and how it's like essentially part of the family and all that sort of stuff. It's their home, really, and just to watch it, just to get absolutely fucking eviscerated in the worst way possible. It's really brutal, and that's just that entire sequence is great. Some really great stuff in that sequence visually.
It was kind of like really cool. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was like the kind of little robot things that were fucking it up so hard. Like, it felt stupid because it wasn't a big enemy spaceship fucking other shit. It was like these little parasite robot things.
Yeah.
That were just eating away at it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But it's so hard to stop because what do you shoot?
Yeah, exactly. They fire missiles and they just move around it. So like, there's fuck all they can do. They just have to try and outfly them, escape, or just take it, which they do. And you're right when you're saying like about Kirk realizing he's 1 year older than his dad ever got to be, and how he's still here, and how George never got to be to this point. And then there's the moment when the ship is going down, where it's entering the atmosphere of the planet, and he's just stood on the bridge and he's just staring down at the planet as it comes into focus below, and he's like having a moment of like, do I stay or do I escape too? Which path do I take? Do I go down like my dad, or do I try and make something of this and try save my crew? And ultimately, he decides to like save his crew. It's a great moment. I really do love that moment, and some really good stuff from Chris Pine there as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. That there's one shot where he like gets in the pod, and you can see the kind of the window tint starts to focus more on his face rather than the exploding Enterprise.
Yeah,
and he just looks. He at that point, like again, as I suppose is with all these movies, the less is more acting is so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, and you read it all over his face, and you're like, this must fucking suck.
One of the best decisions this movie made as well, I think, is putting Spock and Bones together for quite a lot of it. There was a really good pair, and I really liked the way they played off each other, and even having some quite emotional scenes together as well, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, I like that. I liked his Bones is really one thing in this. Bones, since curing death, has really become Doctor of the Year. Like, he lands and Spock has been impaled by something, and he's like, no worries, zap. and then he's like, it's fun. But like, obviously Spock's still bleeding out and stuff, but he just gets like some metal shit out of him with no stress. Like, it's absolutely fine.
He's great. He's a good doctor.
Yeah, I liked is it what's her name? Sophia Kingsman Metal Feet.
Sophia Botella.
That's it, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought it was pronounced Sophia Kingsman Metal Feet. I don't know what happened there. She's in this.
Jailer.
This, yes, and this is my not issue, but I wish it was different.
Okay.
The villain and her are the two most sympathetic characters in this that we're meeting as new people.
Yeah.
Right. I know about the emotional turmoil of Spock, and I know about Kirk, and I'm already there for that. So this movie has to bring something new to the table, which is a kind of a tragic story of what happened with Idris Elba's character, and also Jailer. But they chose some great actors, and then they put half a pound of rubber on their face, and I found it so hard to connect to them. Like I just like when Idris Elba, when it was the flashbacks of him with no shit all over his face, and when he had like some shit all over his face, but it was still clearly Idris Elba with makeup, and it wasn't a big like kind of rubber Doctor Who mask. I just found them so much more engaging, and I just think it was a misstep on I don't want to say they could have done it better. What they did clearly worked because a lot of people love this film, but I found it a bit difficult to connect to them emotionally, which I think is the backbone of these stories.
I would disagree, especially with Idris Elba. Jailer, I'd be more inclined to agree with you. But I don't necessarily think Idris Elba's story is meant to be all that sympathetic. I think it's supposed to be kind of a cautionary tale, really. Everything that happens with Idris Elba, like I say, you only really find out it's Idris Elba in like the last fucking 10-15 minutes of the movie. Yeah. You only actually see his face in those like last 10-15 minutes. Idris Elba's character was a soldier. He was a soldier who grew up and he lived on Earth and he fighted for like, I think they called it like Earth. I can't remember what they called it, like Earth's Army or some shit like that. But he was a soldier for Earth and he fought against Klingons and whatever other species Star Trek has, the Borg. I think that's a thing, maybe. I don't know. But he fought against all these other races for Earth. And he was a decorated war hero and a soldier. And that's the only life he's ever known. And then peace was achieved. World peace has been achieved. He no longer needs to fight. Now the army is gone, then Starfleet has taken his place. Starfleet is not a military organization. Starfleet is an organization that thrives for peace, and they just want to explore the galaxy like the big fucking nerds they are. That's all they want to do. In their big spaceships, they just want to explore and be nerds in peace. And that's it. And then suddenly you have this guy who was gone from, killing fucking Klingons and defending Earth and doing whatever he needs to do, a life of war, to suddenly be in that position where there is no war, where he just has to break bread with the people he once killed. I think he said at some point something similar to that effect. Like he has to make nice and shake hands with people from these planets who he fought against, and he just can't stomach it. It doesn't sit right with him. It's not something that he signed up to do. He's a soldier. He's not a peacekeeper or an ambassador or an explorer. So I wasn't like, I was never really sympathetic towards him. I was kind of like, what happened to you? Yeah, that's pretty shitty that you were stranded here and Starfleet just forgot about you. Sure, that's shitty, but you're also kind of racist. So like, I'm not that fussed, to be honest, Idris.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying though?
No, totally. And it is a cautionary tale. You're right. I just think it was the case of like, he served as a good emotional kind of back and forth for Kirk. Like
he did, yeah, definitely.
He was the captain that decided to give up on everything. Yes. And Kirk sees very clearly that's not him and that will never be him and XYZ. And he served his purpose, don't get me wrong. Like when I say that I had flaws with this film, it's by no means a bad film. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. But I just, to me, it wasn't the most... These I said it a second ago. All these films, my appreciation of the first and the second especially has come out of the core, like emotional crux between two people, which is most of the time Kirk and Spock.
Yeah.
And this movie, I like that they separated them, and I like that there was different dynamics, but it felt like, I don't know, just a lot of change. And whether that's welcome to to people. Maybe if you watch these movies and you had all the trailers and you experienced the marketing, and maybe by the end of Into Darkness, everyone on the ship was a bit tiresome. For me, I was like, this is my jam.
Yeah.
And by the end of Into Darkness, I was like, fuck yeah, I love this series. This is really cool. And then Star Trek Beyond was so different. Changing director, changing style, changing pairings of the dynamics,
Changing costumes.
Changing costumes, yeah. Changing settings. It was a lot of change, and not all of it. It was good. It was welcome, and I'm sure it was cool for a lot of people, but not all of it landed for me.
The marketing for this movie really did piss me off. In particular.
Oh no, why?
Yeah, because I remember so fucking clearly the first trailer for this movie. Do you remember the scene where Jayla is like fixing something up and then she's playing music, and then Scotty comes around the corner and he's like, "Is that music?" And they have that little back and forth about it. That's how the first trailer opens up. But instead of whatever song is playing there, it's the Beastie Boys song. The big one that's in the first one is at the end of this, and then that moment, like towards the end of the movie where they actually use that song, is just fucking ruined, because like that is such a good moment in the movie. It's so fucking dumb, but it's honestly my favorite moment in the franchise. Just first of all because of the fun callback to the first one, but also just how ridiculously fucking cool it is to destroy aliens while the fucking Beastie Boys screams in the background. It's ridiculously cool, and I love it so much. And I fucking hate that moment was ruined for me, because that song was all throughout the marketing of this movie. It was in pretty much every trailer. And then when they said, "Oh, let's choose a song to blast the air straight," I was, okay, Beastie Boys. Yeah, I've got it. Okay, and such a shame. I would kill to see that for the first time, not knowing it.
Not having it, yeah. No, that's fair. I was about to say, is it 80s tunes to blowing up aliens in spaceships? I was about to say it was Guardians before Guardians, but it's actually Guardians before this, right?
Guardians 2014, this 2016.
But then back in 2009, they technically did that song first. So it's like, I bet when that happened, when they like came back to call back on it, they were like, "Thank fuck we did this in 2009."
Yeah, that's now it's a callback and not a rip-off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not just wow, nice one.
It is a very cool moment though. I do enjoy just them blasting aliens to the Beastie Boys sabotage. You don't get much cooler than that. It's very fun.
And it is cool, and there's a lot of cool moments in this. There is a funny moment where there's like someone in the ship is like, he's using the wind stream to get somewhere, and it's just Idris Elba laying on a green sheet of fabric, just being keyframed to like swivel about in places. Is very, very stupid.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Sulu's gay.
Yes, I saw that, and it wasn't like they didn't like do a song and dance about it. It was very much like he's a gay dude, and that's sick.
Yes.
Very cool.
So George Takei, who originally played Sulu, is of course a gay man, and he did not like this. He was like, "I don't see the need of it. I think it's wrong." And everyone was like, "Okay, you be quiet now."
Yeah, that's very lame.
That is very lame. Like, okay, I like you, George Takei.
It's not like Sulu goes on the bridge and he's like, "I'm on the bridge and I'm looking for some sexy boys." Like he literally puts his arm around his husband.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, I like you, George Takei, but shut up.
Oh my.
Oh my.
I don't like this. Oh no.
Do you like the little photo of the original crew?
I did, yeah, that was quite cute.
That was a sweet little moment, yeah.
Yeah, and it's where it's a touching moment, because it's where these films ended up finishing. Until
oh no.
Paramount's Investor Day, not summer, a few weeks ago, I believe.
Okay.
Where they went, Star Trek 4's coming, guys. Everyone get excited. And then multiple of the actors, agencies, and representation filed lawsuits against Paramount, because they went, "Hey, you just made an announcement about my client starring in a movie that has literally not been discussed."
Oh no. Okay.
Paramount were like, Chris Pine's coming back, Zachary Quinto's coming back, and every single one of them were like, we're not, because you
Oh.
didn't. This is brand new news to us.
Do you know? Have you heard the original plan for Star Trek 4?
Wait, let me guess. Is Chris Hemsworth coming back?
Yes, you're fucking right. So yeah,
I
so
knew they weren't done with him.
yeah, so they were gonna have Chris Hemsworth come back as George Kirk and have some sort of time travel shenanigans go on, and have Kirk and Kirk essentially team up together to do something. And I think they got quite far into negotiations and everything, but just something fell through at the last moment. I think it was with Chris Pine, that I don't know, I think maybe they lowballed him on how much they paid him or something, but for whatever reason, negotiations.
I heard that was how negotiations broke down.
Yeah.
And it was to do with the conflict in an actor's pay, and then conversations stopped happening until the Investors Day. Paramount announced it, and they were like, "No, we never agreed this."
Right. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a shame. I'd love to see another one. I really would. I'd really like to see where these guys have ended up. It would be a little bit bittersweet because obviously Anton wouldn't be there. So you'd have to get someone else. Maybe Jayla is part of the crew now, I guess, so she could fill that in, or fill in the role. Seems like she'd be in engineering anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It would. I'd definitely like to see it.
yeah, no, I would as well. I think that would be a very cool. It'd be an interesting pairing for sure. It's kind of like, do you remember the hype around Days of Future Past when Xavier met Xavier?
Yeah.
And there was like a big thing in the trailer about it, and that seemed cool. I know it's not the same scenario, but it seems like a cool generational thing for them to be paired next to each other and to have a movie.
I think we will see it before long. It's funny you should say generational thing. There's literally a movie called Star Trek Generations where you have,
Oh, is there?
yeah, where you have William Shatner as Kirk, and he actually meets up with Picard, Patrick Stewart, the original end game of its day, if you will, the original No Way Home, the original whatever
Multiverse.
yeah, exactly. They are
Christ.
just for clarification, they are the same universe. It's just that the next generation is set after the original series, so quite a long way.
You know the first captain in the is it George? Is that his dad's name? George Kirk.
Yeah, George Kirk.
George's captain is the terrorist from Iron Man 1.
Well,
You know the guy that Obadiah translates and he's like, "You did not tell us that this guy."
The guy who's captain before Chris Hemsworth. You mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he is.
I just looked up at my notes and it says Star Trek 2009 and then bracket terrorist from Iron Man 1 first captain.
Oh no.
That's just what he was. He was in that movie as a terrorist.
Hey.
No, I like this. This is a good franchise. I'm glad I watched them.
I like them too. Yeah, they are a lot of fun. And again, I really would like to see if something does come next. I'd like to see what it was. Would you like to see JJ back?
I don't know.
No.
We can't get into this whole thing without discussing my opinions on every Star Wars movie he's made.
Yeah.
I.e., one I like and one that I think I still like it, but I don't like it for J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
I think that he's become a very different director since these movies, namely in that he is very, very responsive to online criticism, and I think to some degree, I don't know this, I don't know the man obviously, but it seems in his work, and especially work that's been criticized and then he's had a second chance at a property, it's become very reflective in, oh, they wanted this, so fucking have this. And it becomes somewhat resentful rather than love. It hasn't soured me to J.J. Abrams, because he's still a very good director and he's very competent and he's a great producer.
Yeah.
But it's a case, and he made two of these movies, and they're the two of my favorite movies in this franchise. So like he obviously is very talented and he's good at this kind of material, but I think his style has changed and he's experienced so much online shit that I don't think he'd make this kind of thing again, or I don't think he'd be able to. This is kind of lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
It seems like.
I don't think he'd do it. I don't think he would. I don't know why. I just have like a instinctive feeling that he wouldn't. I would say bring back Justin Lin. I think he did a good job with the third one. So bring him back, or get someone new. That's also a good choice.
This is one of them franchises where it very easily could be directed by many people.
There was
Like-
Tarantino was going to do. Well, he wasn't necessarily going to do one of these, but he was saying a few years ago that I think he was actually in talks to direct the Star Trek movie. But yeah, I don't want to see that.
Captain on the bridge. All right, guys, new mandate in from fucking Starfleet. We've all got to take our shoes off. Let's get them off. Get your feet out, everyone. It's a new important mandate.
Captain, they're hailing us. Bring them up, Uhura. The screen appears. The screen appears. What do you motherfuckers want?
Yeah. Get the motherfucker out of my shit.
It's just Sam Jackson screaming at
Suddenly a Steely Dan needle drop plays so loudly over the screen. Kirk is blasting starships down on the ground, and all you're hearing is, "Well, I don't know why I came here tonight."
Everyone's wearing suits for some reason, just plain black suits,
doing a hand jive.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. I'm good.
No, he's not. I've heard so many stories of Tarantino being attached to or wanting to be attached to certain properties, and I'm like, that's not a good fit. Why do you want to do that? Surely you, Tarantino, of all people, know the style of movie you make. Why would it suit something like what was the other one? He wanted to do a Luke Cage thing at one point.
Did he?
Yeah, he was.
That is not a good idea.
No, it's really not a good idea.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, but if the obvious isn't stated, step aside, mate. Maybe give someone else a shot at that. Yeah, but anyway, good. 3 good movies. Like them a lot.
3 good movies. Are you glad I forced you to watch them?
I did. I wasn't when it was 3 a.m. and I was watching one of them. But no, actually, no. Fuck that. I was because I was enjoying it.
Final shout out. Michael Giacchino. I think he's an underrated composer. But fucking hell, the score on these movies. It's juicy.
Yeah, it's good, and it's used really with scoring as well. It's a delicate art because the musics can be great. No, the music can be incredible, but it's down to how it's edited in and how it's used and where it's placed, and the match made between this score and where it was put is really good.
Those moments where the Enterprise just lifts up out of the clouds and you just have that big fucking fanfare and that big theme in the background. It's so good.
Yeah,
it's a great score. Listen to it now.
But Nathan, I'm recording a podcast.
No, listen.
I don't think he's underrated. He's done loads of things recently.
You're right. I don't necessarily think in the ongoing conversation of the good composers, I don't think he's included all that much, and I think he should be because he does some good stuff. He does some very good stuff.
Or I was watching this, and all I wanted was some Junkie XL featuring Hans Zimmer.
That's all I ever want.
I was like, where is the classical fucking some beautiful flutes mixed in with some filthy dubstep?
Hans Zimmer is good. Don't be dissing my boy Han.
No, yeah. I just like it when Junkie XL shows up and is like, I did some of this. And we're like, yeah, of course you did. Okay, Junkie XL.
Okay. Danny Elfman's like, hey, remember me? And I was like, no, go away.
Yeah, yes, you made 3 good songs back in whenever the fuck.
Yes.
Calm down.
Yes, you composed the Simpsons theme, but fuck off.
Did he really?
He did, yeah, he did.
Oh, epic elf.
I think he composed all the music for The Simpsons, to be fair. I think.
Is there a lot?
Well, it's not a huge amount.
Isn't there just the transition stings?
There's quite a lot of there's every character has theme music and stuff.
I want the if Star Trek 4 happens, I want the man that composed the transition stings from 2.5 Men to do the next one.
Man.
Yeah. Kirk just walks through the door and is like, man.
Great. Let's make it happen. Let's crowdfund that.
Where is the 2.5 Men cut? Restore the Sheena-verse.
All right, it's time. It's time to end this. You do what you do what you stumble through every week.
All right. Thanks for watching. If you had a fun time watching, then
Were your phases set to fun?
Yeah, well, they certainly were. We have new episodes that go out Fridays 10 a.m. You can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter and we're on Instagram at Another Happy Pod. I said about the new episodes, didn't I? Yeah, you can review us. Do us a little review. 5 stars, please. So that would be fun. Next week, we're going to be doing this.
Ladies and gents, I am the greatest showman and I tortured animals in real life. It's kind of mad, you should Google it. Why did the movie make me look like a nice guy? Hugh Jackman is cool, and not at all like me. I'm a terrible cunt in real life.
Wow, what a good time. We can't wait to do that movie or Property.
TV series or video game.
Potentially. Wow, all good stuff. You can click right here and get Stuckmanized.
No, you can't. You cannot do that. You can't click it's a podcast, but you can pause this or just finish it and rate it 5 stars, which Lawrence already said, but I'm just going to reiterate. Thank you. Good night. Peace be with you and your friends and family.
Yeah.